I'm just checking to make sure the sound isn't overpowering like it was the last couple. It should be
And we are live.
It's alive, yeah.
Oh, hello everybody. Happy New
Hi
Year.
there, hello.
How's you doing today?
Love
Sorry,
you
but we have some
all.
bad news. So the wonderful Betty White is sadly no longer with us. And that's how we're starting off this stream.
It's the most important things to say.
I don't know why we started talking off in a German accent, but you know, it just happened. Hi everybody. Welcome to the horror show. I'm Robert the Wolfman.
I'm Fuego here.
Cecil Laird over here. Thanks, Robert. Yeah. Everything we want.
Betty White didn't die. She becomes more powerful
Yeah, she
than we could
ascended
possibly
to
imagine.
godhood. She's now a official goddess. What's
we
up,
love,
Dale?
We love
What's going
Lindsay.
on, dude?
Lindsay Mimza.
Alright, so yeah. So a couple people we got so far in the chat. We have Monsieur Sam Glass. We have Dale Stroke. We have Frederick McDonald.
Mr. Glass, yes.
Alright, copy, paste.
Come on, Cecil.
Copy,
Get
paste,
Shut
copy,
the fuck up
paste.
before I beat your ass.
Don't threaten me with a
Down.
good time.
How much money
There
I'm doing nothing in purpose.
What's up, Corey? How's it going, dude?
Corey Novak?
Yes,
Sir
sir.
Novak. What up?
Corey says turn up the volume.
Pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up,
Pump
pump
it
up
loud.
the
jam.
volume.
Pump up the jam.
I'm thinking of
That's
jock
not right.
jams when I was going
Alright,
to the
so
basketball
I need
games
to
and
do
that.
this. Okay, hang on, just a second.
Can I finish?
Oh,
Can I
control
finish?
panel. Okay, hang on.
Okay, I'm finished.
Hang on.
For one more day.
Okay.
I guess that's hold on for one more day. But you know.
Jake Slater, what's going on, dude?
Jake
Damien
Slider, one of
Thorne.
our patrons. What's going on, brother?
Damien Thorne. Howdy.
All right, I have raised the microphone levels tremendously.
Okay.
Significance.
Sound good?
All right, does that sound better? Is that sounding better? Everyone sounding better? Hiya, heyo, hey now.
Heil. Heil
What?
Gunslinger.
What?
Heil Gunslinger. Heil.
Okay, be careful before you go.
Oh, God.
Really?
In the books.
That didn't even register? Good Lord. What other famous Hiles are there, Fuego? Jesus.
He just loves it.
Word slinger?
Light bulb, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sound. Everyone says the sound is good.
Sounds good. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Good.
Oh.
How is it compared to the music? Is the music too loud? I know the music has been too loud in the past. Do I need to lower the music more?
So do we have constant playing music during this?
It's the slight background.
Put it in.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, put
Yeah,
it
it's fine.
You can
It's
hear
fine.
it. Yeah. It's Mahalo's track.
Oh, the news with booze?
Yeah. No, not the news with booze.
Let's see
But...
how we're hearing on this.
All right.
Yeah, we're good.
There's much as talk is about. Guys.
So yes, Corey, Jake Slider, Frederick McDonald is here. Dale, Sam Glass. Heil, yeah, okay,
Oh my
all right. Let's.
Don't
Heil
explain
versus
into that,
Heil.
Corey.
Heil Wordslinger. It's from.
I don't hear any
But-
music. You don't hear any music? You don't hear that background tone? Do you hear it, Fuego?
He doesn't have. You have headphones in?
No.
Oh.
No, when you put
No,
this on,
no.
you didn't hear it?
I did not.
Does everyone else hear music? Music is good. Yeah, okay, good. Corey, there's music, bro.
Music's good.
There's music, bro.
Music's good.
All right, so Fuego, we have a lot to talk about. Robert, you have some insight on
it's
some of
been
it, but
piling
quite
up.
frankly, Fuego's got a lot to discuss on his own.
Jeff Tate from none other than formerly
of Queensryche.
yeah,
Oh, nice.
former Queensryche singer in the.
Okay, cool.
Oh, cool.
Big fan, bro. Big fan.
So, currently
There's
discussing
a revolution coming.
50 States of Fright. Fuego, this is one of the holdovers from our last review roundup that I did not get to because I screwed up the recording.
Yeah, it's okay. Boy, there's a lot when this was something I watched actually in October, and so it's a carryover from October. But this was a series that was curated by none other than Sam Raimi, as you can see
Oh,
from the
what
little,
the hell?
little logo.
We just blacked out.
Why are we blacked out?
Oh, no.
No. Hang on. Let me load us back in here.
What in craptastic somersaults?
What happened? Logitech Brio just crashed.
Damn it, Mimsy.
Mimsy.
So real quick side note, did you guys watch the post-COVID stuff for South Park?
Of course.
Oh my god, it was so amazing.
What they did with Kenny amused the shit out of me, but nowhere near compared to Cartman.
Oh my god, especially like the actual ending with Cartman, it's like...
The actual ending was like, that's totally Stan and Kyle to be like, no, we're more important, we don't care if your life is worse in the future, we want ours to be good.
Exactly, he's the only one with a good life, fuck that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Fuego. 50 States of Fright.
Sorry, spoiler guys if you haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so 50 States of Fright was a few seasons of a show that was done originally on something called Quibi. Yeah.
Quibi?
So it was 2020, and they were launching this service where they were essentially going to be taking what would be episodic television or what would be a feature film, like they did with the one with Dane DeHaan and Micah Monroe, the girl from It Follows. Where they essentially were taking episodic TV shows and films as well, and just breaking them up into these little, like, under 10-minute installments. And so it was going to be this brilliant new format where on the, go, if you're on the subway or whatever, you can just watch on your phone. And they failed miserably. But the cool thing is that all of their content has been scooped up, including a relaunch of Reno 911 and, lots of other cool shit. But 50 States of Fright is now on RokuChannel.com absolutely for free, which is really rad. And so, as far as episodic anthology stuff goes, there are some really strong entries here and a lot of big names, which is why I was kind of sad it didn't work out. You've got Taisa Farmiga from the second season premiere. You've got another one that takes place at the Stanley Hotel, the home of The Shining, and it has lots of Shining tie-ins. Christina Ricci's in that episode, so there's some big names and some really solid directors. And I'm sad that this one kind of fell through the cracks because it was good, and you can watch it for free now. So I recommend everybody to go check it out. As with anthology, each one is not going to be as solid as some of the others, but they're all interesting and unique. And I definitely recommend it, especially for free. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's always to be expected, at least with most anthologies. Like, they're not always...
There's always strong and weak entries.
Exactly.
And also with Raimi curating this, and with a lot of the directors that he brought on, a lot of their names are not in front of me, but I think Bruckner did one. I like there was a lot of very noteworthy up and coming names that were a part of this, not just in front of the camera.
This makes me want to bring up something else aside from that, and you guys might be interested in this or not, but we've actually been toying with the idea behind the scenes of putting together our own horror anthology novel, where each of us writes a story for said anthology. Yeah, we want to do that, and we'll self-publish it and then make it available on the channel. Is that something you guys would be interested in? If each of us had a story and we went to some friends, I'll bet Josh and Sarah Schultz would want to write a story.
They were just collected in something
exactly.
recently.
So we could get some friends of the channel, probably some other horror YouTubers that would want to do that. Chauncey would probably want to throw something up in there. You know what I mean?
Dr. Death.
Dr. Death, what's going on? Ain't much. I'm a single dad showing support. Thank you, Dr. Death.
Greatly
Dr. Death, I've
appreciate
seen you interact and comment on a lot of videos, so thank you very much for your interaction and patronage.
Yeah.
We really appreciate all of your contributions and
the insight and stuff as well. I mean, often great comments and all of that. So that's what helps with the palavering.
Would you guys be interested in a anthology book where we curate some horror short stories, some of which written by us? Would that be something that would interest you guys? Our first horror show presents kind of book scenario.
That'd be pretty dope.
God damn it, Corey! Get that creative
Cut it out,
man! Creative shit up in here.
It's not going away.
Hell yes, I love anthologies, says Sam. Joshua Sarantine, hello everyone, good.
Hey,
yes,
Joshua,
horror anthologies till the end of time. Bring it, says Dr. Death. Okay, sweet. I really think we need to do that this year. Let's make that happen in 2022. Because I'll pay to print it up. We just need to pay maybe Rolo to do some cover art for us.
Or maybe one illustration per story. I know that might be tougher.
That's way more expensive.
I know. That's
maybe in book 2. If we can make book 1 sell well, we can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get it going.
Could always happen in the reprint.
So this is something. We're going to touch on some changes in the channel that are going to be coming. We're doing 2 streams today, guys. we're doing this review roundup, and then we're going to be doing a New Year's celebration with Marcia and producer Dave and Andrew Mercer. It's going to be our whole crew. That's going to be later tonight, but we are doing this review roundup first, so I guess let's focus on this, Fuego.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know,
again
right?
with the hiccups?
I can't
Jesus
help it.
Christ, man. Get your shit together.
Happy New Year to
Fuego, next one is
Movie
you.
Mike as well.
Jake, what's up? Sam Raimi directed a couple episodes, and that really intrigues me. Okay. A House on the Bayou. Blumhouse presents. Fuego, how was this?
I hated this movie, unfortunately.
Case closed.
Yeah.
Sam,
well,
we would absolutely take one of your tales.
Yeah.
We could include you in the book. You've been a patron. That's the thing. If any of our patrons are interested to maybe putting a story in the book, we could talk about that. We could at least give you the opportunity. I might have final say on that ultimately, but at least the opportunity. You know what I mean? That's a great idea, Sam. All right.
But
so,
A House on the Bayou. So
I'm going to be sort of getting something done in the meantime.
Guiding it down in the meantime. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is one that it's been a hot minute since I have had the chance. I thought you were going through like everything in the release order. So
nope.
But so this is one that is, I believe, both available on VOD. But if you are a subscriber to Epix or Epix Now, similar to what they did with Saint Maud, you can see it there without any additional rental fees or whatever, which is kind of cool. But the biggest thing for this for me was, despite some solid performances from our main family in this, this is one that I really, if you're intrigued, I don't want to spoil anything for you, despite the fact that I did see the twist in this coming a mile away, and it just veered. It veered into the utterest of silliness for me, and I mean, it's exploring racial dynamics a little bit, but that's really not the reason for this. It was because of the fact that little, if anything, new was brought to the table that really, aside from some solid performances from a few here, I just the absurdity of some of the things that they do in this film just made me laugh my ass off, and so not into it at all, unfortunately. And since I don't think anybody else got the chance to see it,
I did not.
Yeah,
but I listened to a lot of CCR.
Born on the Bayou, yo.
Born on the Bayou.
Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Goddamn Scumpy.
Alright, so A House on the Bayou, not so much worth your time.
Well, I mean, a lot of the Blumhouse stuff that they have put directly on, I think it's either Prime or Hulu, where they've done a lot of stuff exclusively as well.
We didn't watch any of the new
Welcome to the Blumhouse stuff. I was intrigued a little bit by the one with the old folks home or something, and possession and zombies. I don't know what the hell it was.
Oh, I did know. I do remember doing the trailer action for that one. Yeah. I think that was like the only one that any of us really had any interest in for the new releases and shit. Yeah.
So this is totally not within that frame of connection or anything, but and I also watched American Refugee recently. That was definitely better. I'm not sure if we're touching on that for this particular.
Nope.
Okay.
So on it. What is American Refugee? Is that a horror thing?
It's a psychological thriller that we did the trailer for, where it's like the whole world is starting to unravel, and the black family goes and stays with the white family next door with the guy from True Blood, where him and his son are like hiding in the bunker area, and there's a pregnant woman. Like that film, American Refugee, was significantly superior to what I saw in House in the Bayou as far as these epic exclusives that we're starting to get once again. Because I mean, Saint Maud was also an epic exclusive for a while. But
oh yeah, and you said you liked Saint Maud.
Yeah, I really liked Saint Maud, but it's not really horror. At least not until the end.
I know Harold and Maud.
All right. So next is another one that only you watched, Fuego, and that's called Anklebiters.
Oh, this is Canadians just goofing and having a shitload of fun, man. So there is this retired hockey player with a notorious streak of violence, but this film plays it very much of the darkly comedic variety with some horror elements associated.
Rotted Reviews.
Yeah. And
Rotted Reviews. We're sorry, just real quick. Rotted Reviews in the chat. We're going to be having a big crossover episode with Rotted Reviews in the not too distant future. I need to. So, Rotted, just so you know, I am catching up on all the movies from 2021 in order for us to record our best of lists. So, Robert Reviews and us are planning to do a giant Amityville tier list ranking where he's watched all 36 or 7 Amityville movies at this point.
Are there really that many?
There's that many at this point. Only because you cannot...
It's in public domain.
It's in public domain.
I know. So literally just slap, like, well, that's why we have now vampires in Amityville and shit.
Yeah, well, Amityville Shark is one of them.
I forgot about that garbage.
Well, and Sean C. Phillips is doing his part to create more and more. He's done like 3 on his own over the course of the next 3 years or whatever. But we're going to be doing a massive Amityville tier list ranking that Rotted Reviews is going to be the forefront of, because he's the only one that's going to have... We're going to watch like 11 of those 35 movies in order to contribute.
So hopefully the better ones.
The better ones, the ones that are worth our time. He's directing us, so this is going to be a Rotted Reviews
37
spotlight as well.
37
in a row. Clerks fans, hey, that's actually the perfect time for us to do a fucking tier list ranking when there's the Clerks 37. But yeah, so we're going to be honestly dovetailing on everything he says. We're going to be riding his coattails for the Amityville tier list ranking.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the sequels I liked was called About Time. Wasn't that where dude went down the drain?
Yeah, that was 6. I think that's 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I dig that one.
Yeah, Movie Mike, my lord, I had no idea there'd been that many Amityvilles. There's even like an Amityville porn movie that's a part of the thing that he's going to rank. It's like Amityville Dick House or something like that. Like I can't remember. I put it in our chat at one point.
So it was supposed to Welcome to the Dead House.
Rotted, tell us which one that is, because I'm sure I can't remember what it was titled, but there's a dick on the cover. Fuego, Anklebiters, do you have more to say about that?
Well, I mean, we went in with Rotted Reviews discussion as opposed to Anklebiters, which is fine. No, this movie is essentially about these 4 girls, what am I saying? And they're varying ages, but they do not like the new man in their mother's life, which is this retired Canadian hockey player who he killed a guy on the ice and he was acquitted, and so he ended up retiring, and he gets involved with the mom, and they actually have a really sweet relationship going on, but the girls are distrustful, and they, as you see in the trailers, they're like putting blades in the apples, and they're all this
movie. These little bastards.
And they hate the babysitter, and they kind of
Amityville Vibrator is what it was called.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Thank you, Rotted.
But no,
and that's why he's the expert.
Amityville Vibrator? I'm sorry to cut you off, dude. But
you're like, there's more precedent things to discuss than Anklebiters.
And it's not even one of those things that falls in that rule of, if it exists, there's a porn of it. No, it's just in the canon of it. They just make that's fucked.
Let me look up the cover for you.
Amityville Punani.
Amityville Punani, yeah.
The Second Coming, and now they're going to start
you should
going
show that
into
one from Mike
but...
real quick.
Amityville. Yeah. Nice.
I like
The Second Coming.
Yeah.
I like it.
God damn it.
So anyway, this was a amusing movie. I hope it ends up on a streaming service soon, like Shudder or even Prime or Hulu or something, so y'all can check it out. Because it's not going to end up in like my top 10 or 20.
I don't know if it'll show up
on
the stream or not, but that's the Amityville Vibrator.
Part of me vaguely remembers seeing that.
So was it a possessed vibrator then?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I guess you will.
Got to tune into the episode to find out.
I guess you will.
We're building anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is called foreplay.
This
is foreplay right here.
Because I'm allergic to most of them.
That's actually really well done.
Oh lordy, it's on. It's on. Oh lordy, it's on.
Would The Conjuring 2 count as in the Amityville series? I mean, technically the opening is Amityville. So I mean, I don't know.
I think The Conjuring for the most part is above that series.
I think we know. I think we know. Wences, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, Feliz Año Nuevo.
All right, any more on Anklebiters?
No.
I'm done. As long as you don't talk
Moving
about
on.
like possessed
No more Anklebiters. Fuego, another one for you.
Oh boy.
Bad Candy.
This is one that I bought. So if you guys ever want to actually, because
it was
free
the same on Prime now.
Was it worth it?
Oh. Yeah. Well. Okay. It was the same price.
Wah wah is what I heard.
It was the same price to rent it versus to buy it.
Okay.
And so anytime I see that, especially when it's an indie horror anthology like this is, I was just like, okay, I'll spend maybe it's like $1 more to buy it. And as with any anthology, there's significantly weaker segments, but the ones that land, especially one with like some white supremacists no, it's not even white supremacists. It's a combination of some of them, and then there's like some pimps and all of these like just very distastefully nasty people, and there's like a transformation with a character who goes after them, and it's like a killing spree of that. There's another one with an evil clown that plays a part in the first segment. The wraparound with the kids is cool. So while it's not necessarily like Trick or Treat or anything like that, it's within the same spirit of that and Tales of Halloween, even if it is like a few steps below in the budgetary department. The wraparound with Zach Galligan and Corey Taylor from Slipknot is actually really fun, and the banter between the two of them is cool. So yeah, especially if it's streaming on Prime now, and I would definitely recommend it.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
It was fun. It was fun. I liked it.
Next up is another thing only Fuego's watched so far.
But I didn't get a chance.
Behind the Monsters, Season 1. And the reason I didn't watch it is because you kind of warned me against it.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much warning you against it because
it's nothing we haven't seen outside of that other big documentary, right?
Yeah, so Behind the Monsters is essentially taking one different horror icon at a time. So we had Chucky, we had Candyman, we had Freddy, we had Jason, we had Michael. I think there was 6 or 7 episodes if I remember, but if you've watched a lot of supplemental material, behind the scenes stuff on your DVD and your Blu-ray releases, you're not really going to see a lot of different discussion about anything. The best one for me was the final one, which tackled Hellraiser and gave some new interviews with like Dave Bruckner talking about his thing that he's going to do with it and some of the upcoming plans for the franchise. So that was the strongest of all of them, especially with the fact that we just recently did all of those films and we did the comics, and so yeah, the last one about Hellraiser was the best, but I mean, as far as Freddy and Jason, we've got stuff like Never Sleep Again, and some really comprehensive documentaries and stuff that's already been done. So it didn't bring enough new to the table for me to say it's essential viewing. So
gotcha, and that's why I didn't throw it on, because it's like, well,
they're like 30 minutes a piece, So
this just makes me think of a kick-ass Christmas present that I actually got. So my mother and my brother went in on that Rick Baker 2-volume fucking set for all his work from 1950 to all the way now.
Oh, wow.
Dude,
so it's like a coffee table book kind of thing?
Dude, it's straight 16 pounds.
Jesus, that's awesome.
It's a massive fucking book. And I actually had my eye on that for a hot minute. So, but yeah, that was a hell of a book. But yeah, that just made me actually think of that real quick.
Dr. Death says, I love Bad Candy. Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
I need to watch it then. I had no idea about it. It's on Prime? I'm going to add it right now, because I will absolutely forget otherwise.
Well, I had initially purchased it on Prime, so I don't know if it's like just streaming outright on Prime, which would be...
I think
because I think it deserves an audience.
It's just straight streaming
on
Prime.
Yeah.
Add to watch list. Play movie.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm excited. I love a good movie like this. Cool. Anthology. Love it. All right. So
I'm loving it.
Dr. Death says Lake Placid is a cult classic. R.I.P. Betty White. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wences says, just waking up to the Betty White news, got a sudden urge to walk Lake Placid at midnight. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, she had some of the
Yay, Messi is here. Hey, guys, great to be here. Good to see you, Yay, Messi. Sorry for the late welcome. But yeah, all right, Fuego, the next thing you and I can both speak to.
We can both speak
Robert,
to something?
Did you watch this?
I didn't get around to it, no.
Creepshow Season 3. This is one of the other things we meant to talk about last episode, but I was too drunk and I ended the stream early like a dumbass.
It's all good. Yeah, this is a show that I actually touched upon a little bit when I was talking about the 2 Scholastic books that have come out, and also if they're staying true to the franchise with this new season. I thought this season was probably better than season 2. It had some stronger storytelling. The one thing that made me wonder about maintaining that sort of vibe, though, that's true to the original film, and also where it drew its inspiration from, Vault of Horror, Haunt of Fear, Creepshow. No, I'm just trying to remember. Well, no, there's Vault of, I believe it's the Vault of Horror and then the Haunt of Fear, or maybe it's the Haunt of Fear and the Vault of Horror. I can't remember. You can switch the two around, but essentially Creepshow derived its inspiration from the EC comics, and those are always very schlocky and kind of tongue-in-cheek with their gore and their over-the-topness. And the reason I mention this is because I felt like there were a couple episodes in this 3rd season that, while I liked them, they felt a little too serious for Creepshow to me. Most notably the one with the wardrobe, where the kid was, as he's going through law school, he's spending all the time in his grandfather's wardrobe because he could do as much as he wanted while he was in there, but then it froze time outside. And it was very serious and relatively humorless in my opinion. And so that's where, if it doesn't have the schlockiness, does it maintain? Because we sure as shit get some schlocky episodes in this. The animated one was great.
I think this was the best season. Honestly, I think it was awesome. I loved this season of the show.
Yeah.
I thought season 2 was okay at parts, but definitely had its weak points. I didn't hate any of the episodes in this. This was definitely the first animated episode, even though they had the animated special, which was just motion comics. This was the first animated episode
as the mayor. Right?
Yeah, I loved this season. I thought it was super fun. I thought it was Creepshow at its peak so far. Yeah. People that tried season 1 and may not have liked it, I would recommend watching season 3. I don't know why I'm wearing these, because season 3 is really a fun time.
Yeah, it is. It's very solid. The Night of the Living Dead episode that they do at the very end is really
there's
awesome.
An episode which is basically
episode.
a offshoot. It's in black and white, but it takes place concurrently with the events of Night of the Living Dead. The things you see on the TV in Night of the Living Dead are on TVs in this short. Yeah. Just like in the second season where they had sort of the loose Evil Dead tie-in with Ted Raimi and Deadites. Did you ever watch season 2?
Nope. No.
There was literally an Evil Dead. You love Evil Dead.
I know. Yeah. I watched season 1. I just haven't watched any of 2 or 3.
It takes place in Pittsburgh.
You can't fire me like that. I'll be back next week.
No, you'd love it. You should at least watch that episode.
Yeah.
Because it is Ted Raimi, and it is Deadites, and it is the Necronomicon.
And it's in Pittsburgh, so it's the proper crossover there on Pittsburgh public access, and
Like, as fun as that was, this was just as fun because it's it's in the Night of the Living Dead world.
And did this season also have the Bob Ross kind of episode?
Yes. That was last.
That was
last.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Okay.
But this still had a lot of really great stuff.
It was, yeah. And I love the Joe Hill story too about the crazy bomber guys, and it had Ethan Embry in it.
Yeah, he was good.
Good episode there too.
Lots of good stuff in this season. Dr. Death says, Creepshow stories are pure horror cringe, but so were the OG movies. Silly, fun, horror cringe. I love it. I mean, I don't know that they were specifically cringe. Hang on, do I have Creepshow notes? I wish I remembered the specific, I don't think I do, but the specific stories at this point. We just watched it so long ago.
Yeah, it's been like two and a half months, like I was mentioning.
But nonetheless, I do remember really enjoying it. I remember
Joe Lynch's episode, the one where it was kind of post-apocalyptic, and it was very post-production, kind of almost borderline anime savvy. It was where he was riding around on the motorcycle, and he was going around killing the infected, and he was trying to get back home, and I cannot recall the title of it. Joe Lynch is the guy who is the protege.
It almost sounds like I Am Legend.
A little bit.
Like the book version.
A little bit. The Richard Matheson.
Yeah. That was a great book.
Wow, I don't remember that. So Mums and Queen Bee was episode 1.
Yeah, Mums
a boy
was the
mourns
Joe
the
Hill
loss
episode.
of his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of teens sneak into a hospital and end up getting more than they bargained for.
I didn't like that one very much.
I don't remember that one.
That was the one that was about the pop star they were obsessed with, who was pregnant, and they were trying to sneak into the hospital to get photographs of her, and then it went all body horror at the end. Which when it did that, I was like, okay, this is cute. This is cute.
Episode 2, Bateman blackmails Lampini into letting him take one of the skeletons. Oh, so this was the one about the horror shop
super meta.
that had actual props and stuff from movies, and they added someone that died in the episode skeleton to the display.
Yeah, because they talked about using real skeletons in Poltergeist, and also
and then
they had
Familiar
the from Army of Darkness.
Right, yeah, all kinds of horror.
That was a good episode. I liked that one.
I liked it too. Jackson witnesses a strange creature lurking in the darkness in Familiar. I don't remember how that one played out. God, we should really have reviewed this closer to when it came out at this point.
That's the thing.
Nonetheless, Creepshow Season 3, we don't need to go through every episode. It's very worth your time. We remember that much at least. So, let's move on from there. This one's another Fuego Solo. Solo Fuego Lo. Which is Dead and Beautiful.
Okay, so this is another Shudder release. It was one that just came out, I think, within the last month or so. But spent some time on the festival circuit. Stylistic as fuck is really the thing that I will say to it. But Also without a lot of likable characters. So this is essentially like a Eastern Asian the version of Cruel Intentions with like a potential vampire subplot. So you've got all these super rich, entitled like 20-somethings, and they go out on this excursion and they take some psychedelics like a peyote or something equivalent to it, and when they wake up there are injuries, there are protruded teeth suddenly, and so they're wondering if they are turning into vampires, if they already are, or if it's just lingering after effects. And there's some balls? Yeah. And yet there's love triangle stuff and whatever. It is slick as shit in the way that it is shot. But once again, I wasn't super big on the lack of likable characters, and I don't know. It's like do you really want a version of Gossip Girls with vampires kind of thing like this? I mean, it's really the best that I could compare it to, and so pretty to look at, but definitely I mean, aside from the very important representation factor of this, aside from that, it just didn't really, it almost felt like a remake with that slight vampire tinge of Cruel Intentions, and I love that movie. So
no, Dr. Death, I'm not trying to disagree with you. He says, watch with my 13-year-old son, and he points out the cringe camp cheese every other episode. It's part of the charm. I agree with you. I think definitely there's some camp and cheese associated with Creepshow.
Oh, there's
that is part of the charm. I agree. I don't want to act like I was disagreeing with you.
Oh, no, I think he might have even been chiming in with what I said, in the fact that it's like, when there's episodes that don't have the camp cringe cheese factor, like the episode where dude is in the wardrobe, and then even the Joe Lynch episode I felt was like relatively devoid of humor, despite the fact that I really enjoyed it. That's where I was like, is it like just retaining itself to, I mean, the one with dude in the wardrobe felt like it could have been Spielberg's Amazing Stories to me, kind of thing, because some of those ended relatively dark, but so, I don't know, personal opinion, art subjective, yada yada, but Dead and Beautiful, I can't say I would really recommend because it's kind of a vampire movie, but, you know, despite being visually appealing, it didn't really bring much else.
Okay. So. Let's move on to one that you and I can both talk about, which is Death Valley. This was one that was getting coverage because it was like, oh, Doom-like creatures, right? Where there's
Doom, Resident Evil,
right? Because it was touted as cool creatures like Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City had cool creatures, but while the creature was cool, it was boring. The first half hour is just a bullshit shootout in the fucking woods that you don't care about. Yeah. And then the rest of it is
worst
like
soldiers ever.
It's like the soldiers are showing up trying to save this woman that almost escapes at the beginning of the movie, so you know there's something weird going on. There's a twist towards the end of the movie that's not really a twist, you know what I mean? So it just was, unfortunately, way less entertaining than I was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah, this was one that I was anticipating, but yet I was like, without the proper budget, and this is a shout out to our buddies at Black Fawn, because Black Fawn put this out.
Oh really? They were distributors? Okay.
Yeah, this is one of theirs.
I mean, it wasn't bad.
This is one where I feel like if they had more money and we could have had more creatures and we could have had
just because they distribute it doesn't mean that they had anything to do with how it was made.
Exactly. It's just like Cody Callahan and Chad and those guys are all the producers on it and stuff. But this is one with more money. I feel like could have been significantly more interesting because it very much felt like something shot in the pandemic too, where there's not a lot of there's a very small cast and a number of scenes where everybody's very far from each other. Not a lot of like close interaction except for Junior and I guess that was his brother, right? If I'm not mistaken, or maybe his best friend or something. And just the whole subplot of the pregnant lady back home and the little love triangle angle, like a lot of it just didn't work for me. If they had focused much more on creature human action instead of just humans shooting each other, especially in that first third, I feel like this could have been better with more money, but they did decently with what they had, but it's not
what they had.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, and that's me not saying, because I've seen some really shitty movies that had higher budgets than this, this past year.
It's kind of one of those things that the trailer was definitely better than the final product.
I wasn't that impressed with the trailer, honestly.
I wasn't either. That's why I never really.
I mean, it was okay.
It was after a while. Well, it was again, like we were talking about earlier. It was that kind of a knockoff of Doom in a sense.
That's what it felt like.
I felt like the acting from our two male leads was, and even from the lady, I thought it was better than the trailer led me on to on to believe. But yeah, the story just was very much by the numbers, regrettably. So.
Okay, so moving on from Death Valley, Fuego, another one that only you watched at this point, which was Black Friday. We were talking about this just before we went live.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Fuego. How was Black Friday, starring Bruce Campbell and Devon Sawa and Michael Jai White?
Yeah, exactly.
Jai White.
Jai White.
And it's
AKA our
Bruce, the
former...
greatest chin in Hollywood Campbell.
Get it right. Chin.
Yes.
Get it right.
Al Simmons in this, yeah, good stuff. But I've seen some major hatred for this. I think it's more so because of the fact that people thought Bruce was going to be playing a different sort of character than he did.
Marcia.
Hey, Marcia.
He's a
hi.
Are you here? Not yet. Okay.
He's kind of wormy. He's this like GM essentially of this Walmart type of. Well, actually, I guess it's more like a Toys R Us kind of place, honestly. And Devon Sawa, he's washed up and not particularly happy with himself, trying to romance a girl like half his age, and then you've got Jai White and whatever. But I had fun. I thought Devon Sawa continues this streak where he can be charming and funny. This was a little more akin to like the Idle Handsness as opposed to like Hunter x Hunter or the Chucky series, so that's good. And Bruce, for the type of character he portrayed, I was amused at him just venturing out of his like comfort zone, I guess, and doing something completely, well, not completely different because the character's not like a total
badass
wimp, but yeah, he's more like a, I don't know, Paul Reiser in Aliens kind of character.
Who's gonna cheer for that guy? Oh.
Yeah, more so in just
talking down about Bruce like that.
Yeah.
Well,
damn.
Well, no, it's just it's very much a character trying to save their own skin as opposed to caring very much about the rest of the peeps that are locked in here as this kind of invasion sort of thing is getting.
She said she'll be here
in an hour. Yeah, that's good.
1 hour. Okay.
God, take forever.
So I'll get a junior Western bacon cheese and.
Oh, what do you want?
Rod Review says, I thought Black Friday was overall fun, not great, but a few smiles out of me.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
I was still definitely want to.
I was entertained.
I'm not gonna hurry up and watch it.
I mean, if it's on Shudder next Black Friday, next November, I recommend checking it out. So.
All right, fair enough. Fuego, another thing that we both can talk about.
Oh, yay!
Hellbound Season 1.
You finished it.
I did, of course. I finished it a while ago.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if you had or not.
So Hellbound is by the same director that made Train to Busan and Train to Busan 2, right?
Yeah, Peninsula. Not so good.
Which was not so good, and unfortunately, I gotta say, my feelings about Train to Busan Peninsula were not far off of my feelings of Hellbound. I was not a big fan. So Hellbound sets up this really big premise, but it never does anything with it, in my opinion. It asks questions, but they don't resolve much. It's
because they leave it open for a second season.
Yeah, they leave it open for a second season. It just wasn't nearly as satisfying as Train to Busan was. I didn't like Peninsula that much, and this was just okay. I liked the questions that it was asking, but yeah, ultimately I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, it's slow, but once I got into it, I was really, really into it.
Okay.
Probably
it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah. Probably my religious upbringing has something to do with that. Because this explores everything from crazy, almost like terrorist cult sort of status to religious manipulation to.
Do you remember what it was about?
Yeah, I do. I didn't get a chance to get through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also something they explore at the back end of it was where they really intrigued me. And it's the aspect of original sin.
And especially having a baby in my life.
Yes, exactly. That's where I felt like it really
I think it deserves talking about
profound.
I think it deserves talking about the actual plot. So Hellbound is basically, as you see in the trailer, demons are surfacing and showing up and taking people to hell after beating them to literally a bloody pulp. 3 demons always show up. They beat the fucking person down no matter where they are, and then they fucking fry them down to their fucking inner skeleton every single time and take their souls to hell.
Yeah.
And every time
there's
that it happens,
there's always
a prior proclamation where a giant face will show up and say, your full name and say you will die in anywhere from 1 hour to 10 years. Yeah. You will die here, and your soul will go to hell. And so, in like episode 1 or 2, they broadcast it so the whole world sees it. And the question it asks is, what happens to society when they know that if you sin, your soul will go to hell? Does society correct itself, or does it become overly cautious and like no one progresses?
All these, like, overzealous religious factions, and
then there's cult followings. There's one centralized.
Yeah, there's a whole centralized cult.
I've heard that and everything. Yeah.
But then the question becomes, what happens if a baby receives the proclamation? And there's no way the baby could have sinned at any point.
Yeah. Well, then it's manipulation.
So that's the question it asks. Yeah. So it asks a lot of good questions. It's just
it's wanted.
It doesn't fully deliver on anything.
It's still very slow rumination on the subject, you know. And what did you think of the effects when we did see these creatures taking people down?
Very CG.
Yeah, very much.
Very CG.
It was one of my few complaints about it.
None of it felt like they were in the same world as us.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to be otherworldly, I guess, but...
Marcia, did you just put a dab emoji in the fucking chat?
She did.
Yeah, one other gripe that I had about it is that...
disappointed in you.
is that the 6 episodes are essentially kind of broken up into 2 halves. Because there's the arc of one leader in the first 3, and the revelation I thought was very interesting, and then there's also the power play of somebody else stepping in, and everything that happens in the ascension after all of these things are becoming public knowledge. And so it dealt with some really hefty ideas, similar to what you see in Midnight Mass.
I was thinking the same thing.
Not as well, but they complement each other in a lot of the themes explored.
I could see that too. Yep.
You know.
Midnight Mass being way more successful, though.
Yeah, and probably the best thing on TV. Sure.
The Hellbound creatures looked so bad it took me out of the show. Yeah, same exact thing. They were so clearly CG and so clearly not a part of our world that there was never any weight when they were there, even though they were giant. You know what I mean?
Clay smoke monsters.
Yeah,
I liked their design. It was just they were just relatively crude.
Dude, they were just golems. Yeah, that's all they were Jewish golems. Like and I say Jewish because that's where the golem story was really popularized is through the Jewish golem, and that's all they were. They're just giant golems, smoke golems, that are CG smoke golems. Anyway.
And that's where I will.
Black lung pop.
And that's where the best way that I will sum up this show is that it had so much to say, yet not as much to show.
Agreed. Okay, fair enough.
Do you think they could have done better if they had like a 8 or a 9 episode run versus a 6? Do you think they could have fleshed it out?
No, they just needed more money for the effects and stuff. I would say
more money for the effects, and
I think this could have even been less than 6 episodes.
It could have been tweaked a little bit.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm still gonna check it out here eventually when I get around to it.
Yeah, it's good.
So the next is a Marvel series that no one is talking about.
Because it's not in the proper canon.
Dude, this one surprised me.
No, it's not in the proper canon, but it was still a Marvel series that was put out with the Marvel banner on it.
Dude, well...
Because they still have some stuff on Hulu here and there. Like, I know MODOK...
Silver Samurai shows up.
Runaways. And I think that...
there was the one
X-Men
that was like
series. Legion. Legion was on there as well.
I
haven't watched any of those.
I've still never watched Legion either
I didn't either.
It's not in the proper.
Aubrey Plaza too, and you'd think I'd want to,
You know how much I love Aubrey Plaza. My evil hag, man.
But Hitmonkey, Hitmonkey is a character that was created like in the 2010s. I have the origin of Hitmonkey. I have the Hitmonkey series. It's such a weird, obscure character for them to bring to life, but when I watched it, I was so surprised at how engaged I was. I watched the whole thing in just a couple of days because I watch cartoons every night before I go to bed. Like, it puts me to sleep, and I would watch like 3 to 4 episodes a night, and I was done. And I told the rest of the crew, I was like, Hitmonkey's crazy. Like, it's weird. I didn't expect anyone else to watch it. But then Fuego watched it all, and you watched it all too. So, like...
I killed this show in like 2 days.
I enjoyed it. So, obviously, what did you guys think?
I was extremely surprised with how much I enjoyed this show. Just again, like the obscure premise of it's literally a monkey that is, in a sense, attached to a ghost that's having to avenge and kill all these other assassins. Like, no prior training, but he becomes a total badass. Like, I love the hell out of this, and the gore of it was nice too. Obviously, with Hulu, they're not gonna overly gory. Like I'm sure.
Oh, it was way more gory than you'd think it would be. Yeah.
Well, it was
super gory.
It was don't
especially early on with the woman and the song.
But I'm thinking with like the comics. I'm sure the comics were a lot more brutal.
They're pretty on par.
Are they?
They're pretty on par.
Okay, so fair enough then. But that Saw scene though, that was solid.
Yeah.
But
they went for the go.
Well, hell, even when you were getting her arm ripped off, he's like, "This chick's still going."
So it's a 10-episode series, and just so you guys know what the story is behind it, it's about a human assassin played by Jason Sudeikis, right? Everyone knows Jason Sudeikis' voice. He plays this master assassin that is basically put on the run in the first episode, and he takes refuge in the snowy mountains where this tribe of snowy monkeys are, and there's one that hates him being there, but the rest are very accepting of him and try and nurse him back to health. Unfortunately, the people that tried to take him out show up and murder him and the entire tribe of monkeys except for this one. And this one was learning from the assassin while he was recuperating there, which is why he has a little bit of talent as an assassin monkey. And then Jason Sudeikis' ghost persists and accompanies the monkey on his quest for revenge. So it's this weird buddy cop sort of thing where it's a monkey that has learned how to assassinate very effectively, and the ghost of the assassin he learned it from going on this wild ride. And it's like such an out there story, but it was way more engaging than I thought it was going to be.
It's a cool little like buddy animal kind of thing. Even like what we got with like Primal.
Think like
man and dinosaur become friends. Now it's man and monkey.
Yeah. Dude, Dr. Death nails it.
Yeah.
Hitmonkey is the best Marvel animated show right now, and no one is talking about it. Maybe because it's not MCU. It's not technically part of the MCU.
Yeah. So it's kind of taking cues, though, from Clint Eastwood and The Monkey, or whatever that movie was.
Every Which Way But Loose. Every Which Way But... There was a sequel to it, too, yeah. All right, so Hitmonkey, guys. If obviously it wasn't worth, if you couldn't tell, it's way worth your time.
Yeah, it's
10 episodes of crazy gold.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly fun show,
and it is a self-contained story that is satisfying.
True. And also you've got political intrigue about who, like, why was
George Takei playing a role.
Yeah. Also Olivia Munn is in this. I mean, you've got some good voice talent. Yeah, that was him.
I was wondering.
Yeah, Olivia Munn. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she's in this.
Yeah, she was the George Takei's daughter.
I don't like Olivia Munn.
All right, so let's move on from Hitmonkey to another one that Fuego saw.
That too.
So Fuego, I saw this getting some good recommendations. This is 2021 Silent Night. Is this worth everyone's time?
Not to be confused with.
Do I need to watch this for my list?
Not to be confused. Well, it's that's the thing. It's not really.
I saw John Squires give this 4 stars.
I was very impressed with this movie. It's not horror per se. It's the thing. Yeah. So it's dramatic thriller.
Talking about Silent Night 2021.
Silent Night 2021.
For anyone listening on the podcast.
Yeah, so not to be confused with the franchise of Silent Night, Deadly Night, or the aforementioned remake from 5-7 years ago, whatever it was. But yeah, man, Keira Knightley as a mother, I'm like, have we come this far? You're still so babylicious. But this is one that I really, as I think. What's her name? Heather Navarro? Is that the main lady critic on Bloody? Sure. Anyway, Ms. Navarro. I'm probably butchering her first name because I can't remember, but she recommended, and this was after I had already watched it. She's like, the best thing about this is to go in completely blind, because I could compare this to a few movies that I've seen over the last few years, and you would immediately know what the twist becomes. Gotcha. But it's a Christmas dinner party with a family and some of their friends, and also got Johnny Depp's daughter in this too, and she's not bad. She's popped up she's popped up in a few things that I watched this year. Some good and some not so good. The one where they're all in cryo sleep on the spaceship. That movie sucked so bad. But yeah, this one is on AMC. It's on AMC Plus, and then you can VOD it. I'm pretty sure as well. It was a limited theatrical. It's not the best of times though. It's it'll kind of get you with some of the stuff it explores thematically. Okay. I dug this movie. Yeah.
All right. Not
horror.
Worth your time, even though it's not horror. So the next one is one that I think only I'm going to be talking about. The Advent Calendar.
I watched this. I just
Jesus. Well, fuck. I can't get away with anything.
No. Go ahead.
This was another French one, right?
It was. Yep.
So this is about a girl who is in a wheelchair for reasons we don't really know yet.
They allude to early on, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
They allude to it. Her friend gets her this big, antique-looking advent calendar that, she gets it on like the 3rd of December, so they're able to open the first 3 doors, but the rest are all locked, and you can only open them upon midnight of that day. And what happens is it's not unlike those movies 13 Sins or 13 Game of Death, where it's a progression where person is asked to join this game where task 1 is kind of small relatively, but by the time you get to task 13, it's a life or death crazy thing. And so every door of the advent calendar opens up, and there's a couple of doors that open, and there's these Jesus candies. And there's 3 rules. You have to eat all the candy of the advent calendar. You can't stop the advent calendar, and you can't give it away or throw it away, or you'll die. And basically, she's in a wheelchair. She starts eating these Jesus candies, and she realizes that she's starting to get feeling back in her legs. And so she realizes if she sticks it out through the advent calendar, she'll be able to walk again. But as the advent calendar goes on, she has to start sacrificing things.
Therein lies the price. Yeah.
And she has a dog, and she has friends, and she has all kinds of.
She has a new love interest.
There's all kinds of things. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it gets how far would you go to get back what you so miss? And there's a twist to that, even.
But isn't worth it.
Well, there's a twist to that.
Oh, it's always the monkey's paw sort of situation.
Yeah. It was actually a really entertaining story. The thing I didn't like about it, and why it's probably going to remain off my list for the year, is the ending.
Took too long to get there.
No, the ending. I thought it was an unsatisfactory. It's like a you decide, and I fucking hate that shit. Give me a satisfactory ending. Don't make me decide what your ending is.
It's very popular.
Stupid fuck.
I
really hate. I don't mean to get so mean, but I hate that. I hate that. Tell me what your ending is.
Yeah.
Don't make me decide what your ending is. Fuck you. Like, I didn't write the story.
I
don't know what you intended.
Well, that's the thing though too. It's like they might even honestly not even know how they really want to end it.
Well, then that's even more bullshit.
Exactly.
And that's why they just don't do it.
That's even more bullshit.
You just write it to where it gives the alluded to it. It's like, oh, could it be this? Could it be that? We don't know.
Yeah.
Sam Glass said Silent Night, fuck my life, that ending. So he didn't spoil it, but he thought the ending was crazy.
Yeah. Well, the end. Yeah, the ending is what really, really makes the movie, or at least once things start to become revealed. But no, this one wasn't bad. I especially enjoyed the performance from our lead actress, and as she progresses through kind of getting some abilities back. But boy, the scenes where like her boss is like talking shit to her and bringing in her replacement, and those are rough little bits, man. And like no sensitivity whatsoever to her condition or to anything else going on.
Well, she was working slow.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Oh.
Pick up the pace, Willie.
And I did, appreciate the chemistry between her and her blondie friend from Germany who initially brings it to her. I thought that was good. It really takes till like the 3rd act for this movie to really rev itself up and get going. And
but I was engaged the whole way. I really was.
I mean,
I was like,
was
how are they going to do a movie where they have to do 25 different doors to an advent calendar and yet not do like 5 minutes per door? Like, how are you going to manage the time where she's going to open all of these doors in an hour-and-a-half long movie? And make it make sense. And they did it. Like, it was really impressive, because sometimes it would be door to door, and then at one point, like, something happens where she like skips a bunch of doors for a plot-driven reason.
Very wise.
Really interesting. It's well written.
Because the film was only like 100 minutes. So it's not gonna take up that much of your time. I have to be okay with subs being a French film and everything. But
subs versus dubs. It's a subs.
Yeah.
All right.
But
so that's
available
the
exclusively on Shudder, if I'm not mistaken, right now. So.
One of the other things left over from the last review roundup was the beta test, Fuego. This was from November.
This was from November.
Yeah. So what is this about? We didn't talk about this one, did we?
We didn't, unfortunately, because it's not like super horror, but this is the follow-up from the dude who did the Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so I believe Jim Cummings is his name, and the guy who was the lead in that, and I think
I think that's what his name was.
Directed as well,
because he was also in the new Halloween movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was the main cop that got killed up in What's Her Nuts rooms.
Okay. So this is definitely. It's not super horror, and it's not even psychological thriller. It is like pitch black dark comedy in a lot of ways. And so Jim's character is this Hollywood executive, not unlike Jay Moore from Action, if anybody is familiar with that particular show, where you are just the slimiest, sleaziest Hollywood executive, and yet he finds himself in perhaps, I don't know if entrapment's the proper word, but he gets this letter in his P.O. box that he has at this bank, and it's for somebody wanting to have a anonymous sexual encounter with him, and so he's not sure if he's being set up, because he's about to marry his longtime girlfriend as well. So he's like, is she testing my, dedication, or if I'm really romance material or whatever? But it's really as he gets deeper and deeper into this particular service and what they all entail, and people are dying here and there that are tied in with it, that got these same letters that he did. It turns into kind of a detective story, but also he is just such a schmuck, unlikable asshole in this. Very similar to in Wolf of Snow Hollow, where he was not the most likable dude. I guess that's the type of character he enjoys playing. Perhaps it comes naturally. I don't know. That somebody compared this to a certain Michael Douglas film, and I will agree. But if I said which one it was, that would be kind of spoilery. Okay. So, yeah. But I dug it. I hope it's going to be streaming somewhere where you won't have to just VOD it, because that's what I did. I rented it.
All right. So next up is one called The Deep House. Now, this is one that I was actually really excited for because I have my open water certification for scuba diving, and this is about a couple of scuba divers that go and investigate mysteries. And they find out about this perfectly preserved house that is submerged in a lake in a particular place that no one knows about. And when they swim down and start investigating this house, paranormal things start to happen. Yeah. It is a very interesting idea. It is a well-executed idea, but unfortunately, all of the paranormal aspects of the idea is stuff that we've seen before dozens of times. Yeah. Nothing is truly innovative as far as that goes. The fact that they shoot the whole thing underwater, that is what's innovative. That is what's brilliantly done. But the ghostly, the scariness of it, I mean, it's just not scary. It's not anything we haven't seen before. The ghosts, they're swimming, they're slow. They're not lunging at people, and it's not that scary in the same way. It's more atmospheric.
Yeah, the creepiest thing about it is once you start to get the revelation there, and they're pulling the curtain about what was actually going on in this house and who it was being done to and all of that. That's where I saw this movie at least get a little bit better. But there's a revelation about a character connection that I saw a mile away, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm not shocked about that.
Oh,
so,
yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's, well,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, but it's another one that was initially exclusively on Epix after a short little theatrical release. So they're trying to position themselves at Epix as being a go-to destination for new sorts of horror streaming, unless you want to spend like $20 to rent this, or $15 or whatever the heck it was when it first came out. So, but I didn't love it. I did appreciate the ending though. I will definitely say that.
I was just hoping. I don't know what I was hoping for. The fact that it was all shot underwater with scuba gear and everything is very impressive. But the movie still has to be good. You know what I mean? It can't I can't forgive it just because that's how it was filmed.
Yeah. Just because it's a unique gimmick doesn't mean the film gets a pass.
So. Next up is another Fuego Solo Bolo, which is the Spore.
The epitome of something shot in
the pandemic.
Lockdown in the midst of the isolation and everything. So it's very much an anthology, and a low budget one at that. It's about a spore that is spreading in a particular forested area, and we jump around between a few different characters trying to make their way out. But really, there's just extensive scenes. We're talking like 10-15 minutes through each of these anthologies with no dialogue, just people walking around through a forest, and then they look, and they see like a rotting body, and of course they're dumb enough to go over and touch it, and then there's a woman who is trying to figure out if her son is infected, and I mean, it's when we got the practical, you could tell that they spent their money on some of those few scenes. They were goopy and gooey and pretty solid in that regard, but they sacrificed it with hammy dialogue, like really just cringe, horrible dialogue, and not in that...
Get out of here, in a movie called The Spore?
Yeah, and not in the realm where, you know, it was so funny that or so bad it was good, or whatever. No, this did not straddle that line. There's some scenes that made me laugh out loud, but not in that good sort of way. So, interesting ideas, but they were kind of constrained, I would imagine, both by budget and by situation, and so for that reason... This is one that I will not recommend, unfortunately. So, curious if anybody else has seen it, though.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. What's up, boys, from Michael M. in the chat? What's going on?
Yo,
All right, so let's move on to another one that we can both talk to, which is VHS 94. Did you ever watch this one, Robert?
Okay. No.
Yeah, this is another leftover from October.
Indeed, and this was from Shudder, and this was,
From
you know, is it the third? It's the fourth
one.
VHS movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were talking all about this, saying it's the best of the bunch, and I do agree that it's probably the best of the bunch.
The first segment.
I don't think it was the first segment. I think the
well, I mean, we get
Cyborg segment was the biggest one.
Oh no, but the Ratma, that's the one that went friggin'
right.
viral with all the memes
Ratma.
and gifs and all that shit.
You're right.
Good segment. I enjoyed it.
So the movie is really good. The stories are interesting. At least 3 of the 4 are really worth your time.
The one with the supremacist shitheads and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, and that one was just bad.
Yeah.
But
so it's got a lot of good going for it. It's got great gore, obviously. It's got good stories. It's got a good wraparound.
Yeah, wraparound's
It's
solid.
just really a strong entry in the series. Probably the strongest overall entry, in my opinion.
oh, you think so? Even since the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. Well, it's been a while since I've seen the first one, but I just feel like this was just a more solid total effort, personally.
Well, I didn't like the second installment that much, where the girl was at the funeral home and you thought the corpse was still alive.
I thought it was okay.
It wasn't too bad. I'm like, that was directed by a bigger, more noteworthy name. I think it might have even been Bruckner who did that one.
I think
David
that was
Bruckner.
still worthwhile.
Yeah, but the one with the human cyborg experiment sort of shit
done
that
by
one
the Japanese. I think it was a Japanese director.
Yeah, that one was incredibly effective. I think that might.
No way.
I think that might have even been my favorite.
It was the
one.
most out there, but it was definitely the coolest. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're getting Hail Rotmas in the.
Of course we are.
Of course we are. But yeah, VHS 94 was definitely worth everyone's while if you didn't end up giving it a try, for sure.
Yeah, it's still on Shudder.
Shit, we're only one movie away from Marcia's section.
Marcia, if you're still watching,
Marcia,
which
how
you're
close
probably
are
not,
you?
hurry the hell up.
Come closer.
Hey, we are almost to the things
This is live stuff.
you watched also.
It's breaking news as it happens.
Should we proceed or kill time?
Of course, Ben Grimm, Hell Rotma. Ben Grimm says, "Hey, what up, Ben?" He says, "I agree. Best
Yeah,
overall."
Timo
Bunch
wasn't as good as his last one, but it was worth it. So that's the guy that's gotten a much bigger directing role in a bigger project that we talked about in the news last time.
Which was what I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember, but I was like, one of the directors from VHS 94 is now doing a bigger movie for like Prime or Netflix or something like that.
I remember us discussing.
Good
it.
for them.
Yeah. All right, so Fuego, let's move on to which is Witch Hunt.
Yeah, another one that I can.
But the last 5 were stuff that Marcia can all chime in on. So
Last fight.
yeah, Elves, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and a bunch of other things.
Okay, yeah, that's right, because I didn't watch I Know What You Did. But okay, this is a film that's only VOD right at the momento, but I enjoyed it so much because of the fact that even though it's not like
Gina.
Even though it's not like hardcore horror, it had a incredibly unique like sort of approach to the storytelling, and the fact that so in a not too distant future, so to speak, in an alternate reality, witches are very much a thing, and they are prevalent throughout the country and the world. And so, at least in the United States, they are rounded up and kind of put into camps and executed in certain instances and all this different stuff. So you can't be practicing this black magic of sorts. And yet, to make a comparison to, like World War II and hiding Jewish people, there's a family that they basically take witches in and they hide them in their attic area and in these like enshrouded spots within their home, and they try to get them to safety down in Mexico. And so there is this daughter who she's trying to figure out if she has powers or if she is kind of just enticed towards that sort of thing. Strikes up a friendship with a girl who is a witch, whose parent is burned at the very beginning of the film, done in the grisly fashion. But don't go into this expecting tons of gore or craziness. It's much more so that dramatic horror sort of situation, slow burn, lots of interesting ideas, and
semi-social commentary.
Very much so. And yeah, it was those parallels that made me the most interested in this film. Now, it's not probably going to end up in my best of the year or anything, but the fact that I hadn't seen those particular parallels and this sort of subject matter explored in the manner in which that it was, for that reason, I would definitely recommend it if you can find it for, I think it's like $3.99 on VOD, but it's not on any major streaming service, at least not as of yet, so you would have to rent it. But it was the subject matter that I found the most intriguing.
Okay.
Does Marcia talk?
No,
yes, Ben. Rest in peace, Betty White.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Well, at least the three of us can. Let's talk about The Witcher season 2.
Did she get that one?
She watched that.
That
too.
one, that one I did not watch. So.
Oh,
you didn't watch The Witcher?
No, I haven't watched the first season.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Well, it's you and me then, Robert.
Okay.
I thought this was way better than the first season.
Absolutely.
It was so much more focused. It didn't jump around in time the way the first season did. It was, every episode was very focused and satisfying. I liked the guest star of the first one, the weird pig human, like a boar human dude.
Oh yeah.
I thought that
his
was,
one little buddy and everything.
Yeah, that was a great story with the flying.
That was
creature,
cool, and that was really sad, especially at the end, because you realize like what his actual sacrifice was and what the curse actually was. Like that hit pretty hard. But no, this overall full season was definitely better than the first season.
Yeah.
The action choreography and everything was much better done. We got to see more of the various witchers and things like that. A bunch of new creatures.
Especially if you watched the animated Witcher movie.
This ties right into all this.
It references so much stuff.
Yeah, and like that's the cool thing is like I'm glad I did. I'm glad we did end up going through and watching the animated series.
Me too.
Because I wouldn't have picked up on a lot of the little stuff that they were talking about in this.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought it was just vocal tie-ins where they would mention things that I was like, oh, I watched that play out. You know, I remember that happening in that animated movie, which was dope. So,
and watching Ciri become basically finding herself, like seriously, very quickly she like
training.
She realized like at the time of she can't sit down on her ass and expect things to get done. She has to do it herself, and there's a reason she's important for something.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was lore building. It was reverential. It was referential. It was well paced, well crafted, and
you got to see more depth with Geralt and everything.
Yeah,
like he actually is like he's not so stone faced and cold hearted and everything. He actually has that caring nature. And
I saw something say that Freya Allen, who plays a character on the show, was like, Henry Cavill is like the Witcher Bible on set, where
I've seen those quotes.
Literally,
dude, he's legit.
We should use the quote on
great.
page 253 of this particular book for this character, and it's like, oh, it's so dope. Like, I love when someone so pivotal to the series loves it as much.
He does like Warhammer, and he paints Warhammer figures.
I did see that recently. Yeah,
like Henry Cavill's a badass. Like from between his acting and even just the nerd shit he does on the side.
Him and Joe Manganiello, I feel like they'd be two dudes that could fit in with a lot of our fun stuff. You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, like if you guys haven't gotten around to see season 2 yet of The Witcher, get up on it. Like, this was really well done. Like, and even like the Basilisk when we got those.
Yeah,
like those were cool renditions of the Basilisk.
Agreed.
So then the success of the first season, I would imagine, and the fact that they are.
You definitely saw that the budget was ramped up on this.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. That's good then.
Yeah, I can, especially with the ending of what we got in this. Like season 3 is going to be bonkers.
I'm pumped. Yeah, they did. There was such a good course correction for season 2.
Very nice.
Such a good one. Next, let's talk about Elves.
You watched this one, right?
I did watch this one. Another one Marcia watched, right?
Yeah. Well, we're down to all that Marcia's.
I know.
Like the last of what Marcia. Everything else we've talked about.
Yeah.
So that's okay. I don't think Marcia will care that much, and
Probably
we can get
not.
her opinion during the New Year's Eve.
Well, exactly.
I'm just trying to.
This one I actually finished. I started and finished last night.
This was just a simple 6-episode.
It was.
jaunt,
It was.
right?
It was like
half-hour episodes,
2.5 hours.
Yeah,
give or take and everything like that. But there was
it was a really good dark fantasy.
It was. There was a couple times in the first 2 episodes I
was like, this isn't for kids.
Well, it was that.
It was
that, but it was very just slow, and I found myself kind of fast forwarding a little bit in those first couple of episodes.
Oh, okay.
And once you got into between the last 3 episodes, that's when shit really starts ramping up, and you realize like what actually is fully going on with this island. And it was pretty fun. Like it wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But the practical effects, and this is what Cecil
when we
was
got
telling me
them,
about.
though.
When we got them, and this is what
cut
Cecil
away
was telling me
so
about
much.
why I should watch it because of the practical effects. For what practicals we do get, they are nicely done. Because obviously they're elves, they're wood elves, so they're in a sense like it was cool seeing because you got the baby, which is you see her on the screen, but obviously the adults they become more tree-like, and I dug the hell out of that.
Yeah, it was just the fact that we got these
What?
very brief glimpses
Media
of them that
just
just
made me laugh.
drove me nuts.
Marcia P is probably still recovering from failing to dash and falling 1 billion times from the It Takes Two stream.
Oh.
That was pretty funny, yeah. Nero Demuz, Happy New Year for later crew in chat. It's already New Year's in Australia. Yeah, Happy New Year to you.
Righteous.
Thank you for being such a fan and
Brad Stats.
Hope all is well over there.
Because you comment a lot and everything. Thank you, Nero. We greatly appreciate it. No, this show was pretty fun.
It was solid.
It was
I can't say
easy.
that I loved
it wasn't
though.
the deepest of shows,
But
the daughter pissed me off.
There was literally
I
a
didn't like
decapitation in episode 1,
and
that
it
never reached that level again.
Yeah,
It was a weird bar to set, but never to attain again.
Yeah.
But the consistent stupid decisions of that girl.
She's just adolescent and foolish.
Yeah.
You know?
But that really pulled me out more so on actually giving a shit on this show.
Gotcha.
Like I had no qualms whether she lived or died.
Fair enough.
And on some of her decisions, like and that's one like even with like the grandma and everything. Yeah, it is your fault because of your stupid decisions. You stupid city slickers coming out here screwing up our ways. You know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and the love story, I wasn't really
that was a pointless love story that went nowhere. They
and also what happens at the end with it,
reason.
I was just like, wow, things got pretty serious pretty quick.
Well, it did. Honestly, that was the best. I was happy with how they kind of ended that. It was the better of them, but it was very predictable.
Dr. Death asks, do you guys watch Dexter the New Blood? Love it. Clancy Brown is a force. I haven't watched any of it yet, and we'll get to it.
Clancy Brown's a force in anything.
Yeah, he's awesome. We'll get to it eventually, though. We'll definitely talk about it in a review roundup in the future, for sure. Was I know what you did last summer as bad as it looks? Well, we're gonna get to that. I'm hoping Marcia shows up, but I don't think she's gonna make it to talk about anything.
Because she said 5, right?
No, she said 4:40 when it was an hour. It was 3:40, so she probably won't quite make it. But that's okay. We can get her opinion during the live stream. There's 3 things left to discuss. Let's talk about Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, Fuego. Season 4. I know Marcia's opinion on this. She did not like it very much. Like, why didn't like? Well, I'm guessing she didn't because I'm assuming she's like me. It's so much less dinosaurs and so much more robot bullshit this season.
And that was one thing that I did not like. I kind of feel like I didn't love the first season of the show, but I appreciated it. Then I thought with 2 and 3 they really caught their stride. The stakes felt a little bit higher. This felt like kind of a regression of
big
the stakes
step back,
a little bit, you know.
Big step back.
I mean, yeah, it's cool. We get a Spinosaurus in here. We get a saber-toothed tiger, which we haven't seen anything beyond terrible lizards.
I'm sorry, but that scene with the saber-tooth, like that cat would have torn them apart.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Don't even give me that crap. Like I'm still like halfway through this season and everything like that, but. Don't even give me that dog crap. Like that cat would have torn them.
If you're halfway through, you've already gotten most of the dinosaur action. Like it's so much robots. Like the dog robots, they get enhanced, and like it's just
it expands
so much robot bullshit instead of dinosaurs.
Yeah, it expands the lore, but not in a good way, in my opinion, because we do find out that it's not just what InGen is the company, right? But we find out that there are now other companies that have Dino DNA.
Well, that's the thing, though. Is technically there were in reference if they're taking some references from the books. Like the character Dodson.
Oh yeah, who was in the Lost World book.
Yeah, well, even like technically in like the first book as well for a little bit.
Yeah. Dodson.
He was more.
Dodson here.
Yeah. See, nobody cares. Mm-hmm. So that character and everything, like his company was always trying to get for that DNA. So I wonder. I can't remember the name of the company that he worked for. But I wonder if they were one of those companies that they're referencing.
Now, so was it the same company that they sent the country girl to go spy on him? Remember how that was like a plot point in the first or the second season?
No.
So it makes me wonder
it's
if
the same company.
Yeah. The guy's name was like what, Cash or something, right?
Yeah, they talk about Cash a number of times in this season. Yeah,
I didn't like that villain. That I thought the human villains that we got in the second and the third season were significantly just more foreboding with what they were trying to do and some of the messed upness of it. The kids are
stupid.
Yeah, the kids are all still likable enough, I guess. But
it was
they finally decide to explore some love interest stuff with two of them, and I felt it was unnecessary. You know, I'm like, if you haven't done it yet, like,
that took
why?
place over the whole season too.
Yeah, it's like okay.
Well, they've been stuck on the island. They haven't had time to really, sit down and talk.
Yeah, well, and it just kind of overshadows a lot of the development of some of the other kids or not. I felt like I
did kind of have to laugh though.
Girl,
she's like, "Oh, but you're interested in him, though, right?" Like I had to laugh about that part.
Yeah, and there's also a big twist for what's I believe the final season of the show with how they leave it with a cliffhanger without spoiling it. But yeah, it's one of the weakest seasons, if not maybe the weakest one, as far as just fleshing things out and being interesting.
Well, I'm not looking forward to finishing it.
So Dr. Death says Dexter is the best show on TV right now, and as a father, you will appreciate the new Dexter show. Okay, fair enough. Sam says, by the way, did you all watch Slasher? Finished season 3, binging season 1 now. A little soapy, but the practical effects are sick when they utilize them. I watched season 1, and it was boring as fuck.
Did not.
The kills were cool, but they did not justify the amount of fucking time I put into that show. Because it's like 8 episodes, an hour long each. There's maybe 1 kill per episode, if that, and the kills are cool, but fuck you for making me watch so many hours when everything else is uninteresting except for the kills. So I didn't watch anything beyond season 2. I've heard it might have gotten better, but yeah, no, I'm just
that's still a thing.
It's a lot to make me sit through for just cool kills. Anyway,
word.
So Fuego, the last 2, there's one thing that you and Marcia watched and one thing that I and Marcia watched. So I'm going to go your thing first, which is Lost in Space.
I did not watch Lost in Space.
Lacey's, did we already do? We did Lacey's story.
Yeah, we did Lacey's story.
So Lost in Space season 3, I'll do on my own. I guess the last 2 things are just me then. Did you watch Lost in Space season 3? No. Okay.
I haven't started any of this show.
I was going to say the other stuff that I have on here was stuff I watched yesterday, which was the American Refugee.
Then I don't have that ready to go.
Mother Android.
I don't have that ready to go yet.
They're not good. So.
All right. Lost in Space season 3 is the final season of the show. I just finished it this week. It was fun. Will grew 1.5 foot in between season 2 and 3, so they had to write that in the show, considering they were delayed due to the pandemic. But it was still a fun show. It was a good ending. It was a satisfying ending. It was an entertaining 3rd season. It didn't blow me away, but it was still a worthwhile wrap-up. So if you enjoyed the first 2 seasons, definitely go ahead and finish out season 3. That way you get the complete story and all of that. I think it's definitely worthwhile if you enjoyed the first 2 seasons. No one to play off of.
Yeah, I was going to say, since
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah,
Danger.
pretty much.
it had some cool looking grittiness to it that I was intrigued about, and I know that you've said a lot.
The effects are amazing.
I'm about to say that's the one thing that's always stuck out to me. Anytime we did the trailer reactions for basically any of the seasons,
all 3 of them.
Yeah, all 3 seasons.
Because this is the final season.
Yeah, is the graphics. Those have always stood out to me.
The effects have been incredible. The sound design is incredible. The story is engaging. It was a really excellently done sci-fi show. So if you haven't watched Lost in Space and you have a whole family, I recommend it very much so if you all like sci-fi, for sure.
I'm just going to stick with the William Hurt one, from 99.
I like that movie.
I do too. As much as
Gary Oldman as
yeah,
Dr.
dude, as much as
Joey from Friends.
Yeah, as much shit as like people want to talk about that movie, it actually wasn't a bad remake or whatever of the Lost in Space movies. Now the CGI and the graphics definitely didn't age well.
Checking our, we did that. Yeah,
what?
We just I'm just
double
checking.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, we're set.
I got it already.
Because I guess I'm the only one talking about all this.
Yeah, I mean,
Dr. Death says, "Happy New Year's, guys! Time for Cobra Kai season 4."
Yeah, it dropped today.
Here
right?
with my boy. Take care. Be safe.
Dropped today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. Thanks for stopping by, Dr. Death. We appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
We're gonna be doing our New Year's Eve celebration later. If you get freed up, we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, we're doing that at what, 7 o'clock?
Yes, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock for
7
the New
Mountain
Year's
Standard
stream.
Time. Mountain Standard Time.
Cobra
Kai new episodes. Look at that.
If you ain't Mountain Standard Time, you the wrong time.
I saw Cody reviewed it. I didn't ask for a screener for it.
We stayed the
Otherwise,
same
we could have done it too.
time the whole
For what?
time.
For Cobra Kai, we could have asked for screeners and watched it a week ago, but I don't care that much. So.
Okay.
Plus
I'm honestly
it's
not even caught
horror
up on
film.
it, so.
Oh, it's a great show.
I've watched
still haven't watched
season
any
1.
of it.
I haven't watched any of the others.
So the last thing we have to discuss is the first season of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Marcia's the only one that watched it along with me. She watched it way before me, actually. And so I will say this. The show at least justified its existence, I feel like, more than the Scream TV show did. They did enough differently to make it worth watching. I think they should definitely stop it and, like, that's it. One season and done. But the big difference is in the movie, they all are partying and drunk and driving, and they hit a random fisherman and try and dispose of his body, but he survives and comes back to kill them all a year later.
Yeah.
In this, the lead girl in the center there, she plays dual roles as twins.
Sisters, right? Yeah,
Twin sisters.
Okay.
And the person they kill is one of the twin sisters. And so the other one, though, is wearing her coat, and she assumes the identity of her twin. Her twin was the more popular, crazy one. She was the more introverted one. And she tells her dad, so the dad's in on it, but none of her friends know that it was actually this one that died. They think that she's still alive, and it's not. Like, it
so
plays
do they have,
out.
like, a funeral for the other sisters?
They
actually wrote it well.
Yeah, it was actually way more engaging than I thought it would be. So the first half of the season, it's like six episodes, or 8 episodes. The first half of the season was way more engaging than the second half, I think. They started to take some weird turns in the second half, but it's still overall, I think, a worthwhile watch. Definitely way more worthwhile than Scream, and there is some definite gory stuff. Like, there's cool decapitations that, like, someone literally saws one of their friends' heads off and sends that video to them all, and they all see their friend's head getting sawn off. Like, it gets dark at times, dude. Okay. Dark. Okay. So, like, that in itself makes it worthwhile. There's some, sexy time between girlfriends and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's some
sexy time.
There's some lesbian sex.
I was told that I just buy a car instead have a pussy magnet.
But it was a really interesting show, and I think it's actually, if you watch it, try the first episode. If it pulls you in, try episode 2. If that keeps your interest, go for the rest. If episode 1 doesn't capture your attention, ditch it. If 2 doesn't capture your attention, but 1 was enough to, ditch it. But if 1 and 2 are enough to keep you around, I say it's worth the trek. Honestly, I do. There's a lot of really good acting in it, believe it or not. There's a scene between the daughter and the dad that is so, like, it hurt. I cried a couple of times in the show because it was just such well done acting at times. But that was early on. Again, the first couple episodes hit way better than the back half. But I do think it's worth your time if you like slasher movies, and if you want to see them take a different approach to that story. I was, like, surprised. I was like, wait, they're twins? Holy shit, did they just kill the sister? I was like, fuck, wow. Like, it was way...
Spoil it!
I mean, that's the pilot. Like, that's the hook,
no, I get
right?
The premise,
Anyway...
Then, did it have kind of a vibe a little bit, then, of, like, second season of Channel Zero? You remember that one?
I don't remember that one. No.
Second season was where they went into the fun house and they walked into the alternate reality and all the stuff with the... Well, you were saying stuff with the father and everything and how that was a big component of that second season. Yeah.
Well, I
mean, just curious. I mean, maybe
there's an aspect of cult stuff in the show as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, so there's all kinds of things.
They added some stuff. They broadened the lore, for sure. Brooke Flynn asks, most anticipated horror movie for 2022. Well, we're going to do an entire video about that. So stay tuned in the next few weeks. We're going to do our best top 6 horror movies from 2020 or 2021, bottom 6 horror movies from 2021, top 6 horror TV shows from 2021, and then top 6 most anticipated of 2022. So all of those will be coming in January, not at the end of this month, obviously, because today is the end of this month.
Yeah, but and also,
or is it?
And also 3 that if I could just, without even a graphic lightning round, just to.
I don't agree, Sam. I think slasher is the Canadian answer to Scream. It's not American Horror Story. It's just a slasher. It's a different slasher every season. American Horror Story does witches, does asylum, does. It's not like that.
Ghosts.
It's a person in a mask every season, which is nice. It's pure that way. But yeah, it's not really akin to American Horror Story. But anyway, that's going to do it for our review roundup, guys. Sorry Marcia didn't get here in time. We mistimed everything just a little bit. We got through all of our stuff a lot. I mean, our last review roundup was over 3 hours. So I thought this would be the same thing. I think we ended up with a
little bit less. I mean, but then again, when it's me,
I think we're like 2:45. We're basically 3 hours in.
Kinda, but anyway, we can get Marcia's opinion on those last few things during the New Year's Eve stream, which we are going to be coming back in 2.5 hours at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to do our New Year's Eve celebration stream and our White Elephant gift exchange that we never got to do because my lady contracted COVID. So we're going to be doing all of that in about 2.5 hours. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. The link to our Patreon is in the description box down below. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. Until 2.5 hours from now, I'm Cecil Laird.
Wolfman.
Gracias, Jaime, and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.